very warm welcome to everyone watching this Siberian Health TV video. My name is Yuri Gichev and I'm the Scientific Director of Siberian Health International. This video series is all about adaptogens, the unique natural essences found in several rare plants which have a very limited natural habitat confined to a rather narrow but a very long strip of land on the border between southern Siberia and China. The very term adaptogen is derived from two Latin verbs, adaptare, which means to adapt or to get fit, and generare, which can be translated as to give life to start a process, or simply to support. And thus, taken together, the word adaptogen means an agent which helps a person to more easily adapt to any changes, both internal and external. This term, which is now in wide use everywhere, was firstly proposed by the famous Siberian scientist Nikolai Lazarev in late 1940s. He and his even more famous disciple Israel Brechman were intrigued by the mystery of the ginseng root, which had always been highly revered by Chinese medicine and, unlike all the other herbs, was prescribed for almost any condition or disease. Hundreds of experiments performed on both animals and people didn't provide any answers, but rather confused and bewildered the eager scientists even more. It turned out that ginseng extracts had never had any repeatable and forecastable effect when used in any manner of application. In order to understand why this fact was so puzzling for them, one must remember that in Western and especially in modern pharmaceutical-oriented medicine, each agent is supposed to show some sort of one-way cause-effect. For example, some agents reduce blood pressure or blood clotting, others increase bile production or brain microcirculation, and so on. And no matter what the condition of the body is, the effects will be always the same. Nothing of that kind could be said with regards to ginseng. Depending on its dose and, what's even more important, depending on a patient's state of health, ginseng extracts can act in completely opposing ways. Ginseng can reduce or, on the contrary, increase blood pressure. It can boost energy metabolism under one set of circumstances, or act as a sedative in another. Attempting to understand this phenomenon, Lazarev and Brechman have ultimately identified the key principle of the physiological effects of ginseng as well as all other adaptogens. Adaptogens do not focus on any disease-related process as most pharmaceuticals do, but instead their one and only goal is a normally functioning body. If, for example, under the certain circumstances, our body functions more effectively when blood pressure is low, adaptogens will dilate blood vessels. If, on the contrary, our body needs to increase it, adaptogens will increase blood pressure. Thus, unlike many other herbs and especially pharmaceuticals, adaptogens do not fight certain disease processes, improving anything, or make one better, and so on, which we would think to be what medicine should do. Adaptogens just keep a normal balance in an entire body, regardless of a specific illness, organ, or system. And that's why ginseng is so widely used in Chinese medicine for almost every condition, including those diseases which require diametrically opposed treatments in Western medicine. But how can adaptogens bring about this miracle? As Lazarev and Brechman have suggested, adaptogens possess this unique ability because they can make both our bodies in general and each organ in particular much more energy efficient. And having more energy, our body can cope with any disorders more efficiently, because dealing with any disease requires from us, first and foremost, a lot of extra energy. Soon after they confirmed this proposition, first with experiments involving ginseng and then with the first native Siberian adaptogen, Eleutherococcus, which is now widely known under the name Siberian ginseng. Adaptogens indeed showed an ability to optimize the work of energy-producing cellular enzymes, and thus to get more energy from the same quantity of carbohydrates or any other biological fuel. The idea of providing the human body with much more energy while using adaptogens attracted the attention of Russian sports authorities and soon after of those from much higher levels of the country's government. This was the early time of the Russian space campaign, and any research that had the potential of being used in space programs was in high demand. That's how Lazarev and Brachman got heavy sponsorship to proceed forward with their studies. Chinese ginseng was very expensive, and so these two scientists turned their eyes towards the vast resources of their native Siberia in search of domestic substitutes for ginseng. Numerous expeditions and studies of Siberian folk medicine practices allowed them to identify a whole array of potent Siberian adaptogens. Among them are Siberian ginseng, Siberian golden root or rhodiola, Siberian merle root, Siberian aurelia, and Siberian schizandra. Numerous studies, experiments, and scientific articles conducted and written by Lazarev and Brachman made such terms as adaptogen and adaptive medicine well known in the entire world, as well as Siberian ginseng and other Siberian adaptogen supplements. All the above-mentioned Siberian adaptogens plus Chinese ginseng are combined together in the ADAPTOVIT formula, which is an ultra-rich and extremely powerful adaptogenic oral spray supplement produced in Siberia by Siberian Health International. This patented high bioavailability oral spray was developed in early 1980s by one of Brachman's disciples, and it is now already 18 years that it has been produced and sold by Siberian Health. It is a classical adaptogenic formula which uses rather low doses of natural adaptogens, in contrast to many modern tonics that have extremely high adaptogenic contents. And this is very important, because it is precisely in low doses that most adaptogens reveal their energy-saving effects, and only these very effects can be classified as adaptogenic. And in Chinese medicine, and then in classical adaptive medicine led by Lazarev and Brachman, this rule was indisputable. However, after ginseng and other adaptogens became very popular in the West, many companies used a traditional Western approach when developing adaptogen supplements. The higher the dose, the better the effect. And for the same reason, they usually use only one adaptogenic plant. But this doesn't work for adaptogens. In high doses, they act merely as strong stimulants, provoking many side effects such as hypertension, insomnia, and nervousness. On the contrary, ADAPTOVIT is a purely adaptogenic formula. Without any excess stimulant effects, it helps to recharge our batteries and thus to more successfully cope with a vast array of symptoms and conditions. The flu and common colds, allergies and chronic inflammation, digestive disorders and liver diseases, cardiovascular conditions and diabetes, to say nothing about physical endurance, mental acuity, and many other common conditions which have always been attributed to adaptogens. And this is the one and only way in which adaptogens have been used for centuries in Chinese medicine, and which then got scientific approval in adaptive medicine. In the next video series, you will learn some new facts about adaptogens, which are a cornerstone of many Siberian health products. So, don't forget to join us on Siberian Health TV.